Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Songwriters in Conversation, SIC, sick. It's a comedy night. So my name is Richard O'Brien. I am an academic in creative writing at Northumbria University. And I organise this series really because I think of songwriting as a form of writing like any other. And I think it's interesting to talk to songwriters about how they do what they do. And I think there's such a range and wealth of talent in this region, specifically in the Northeast, that I really want to hear from these artists about the work that they're doing. And we've got two great artists tonight who both use comedy in their work in interesting ways. I wasn't sure if anyone would be insulted by the idea of being described as a comic songwriter. We'll find out when we get to the Q&A. But some of us saw Nev Clay last night play at the Levain Garden. He played a set entirely of songs without jokes deliberately. And I think both myself, Nicky and Paul, who you'll be hearing from, might find that quite difficult to do. And I think that's something that's kind of interesting to think through. How do comedy and music relate to each other? So thanks so much to those of you in the room who have come along. We are also recording this for YouTube. If you do not want to be on a video, please have a chat to the guy at the front in the Bass Pro Shops hat, Kyle, and he will help to edit you out. But if you are watching along at home in the future, hello, how are you doing? Do you still have rare earth metals? That's the only scripted joke of the night. So these events, we put on two artists paired around a particular theme, comedy and music. I'll introduce each of them when we get to them, but you'll hear from Paul Stewart, the young property developers, and then Nicky Bray. And then to really bring the evening to its absolute comic peak, we will then have a half-hour semi-academic panel discussion. But before any of that, I'm going to play one of my songs on the theme. And I am going to give you two quotes on the theme, which I do every time. So the first of these is from a comic songwriter that some of you might know well, who was on TV a lot in the 70s, Jake Thackeray from Leeds. And he said, "I would rather make people laugh than make them do anything else." And then a quote from a contemporary band, American band called Cheekface, who have a lot of really funny songs. But one of their lines is, "Just because it's funny doesn't make it a joke." So my song is called Clown College Dropout, and it's inspired partly by this idea that I perform under a persona, right? My name is Richard, but I play songs as Groundbird. That is my musical persona. And I've started to think, is that like having a clown? Is Groundbird my clown? And I saw that there was, at the university where I work, Northumbria, there was a workshop on finding your clown. I thought, that would be interesting to do. But then I didn't have time and I didn't go to it. So Clown College Dropout. And while I seamlessly set up this bouzouki behind me, there's one thing I should mention in the song that might be confusing otherwise. Who in the room knows about the clown egg register? Yeah. So there's a register you do want to be on. It's held at the Clowns Gallery Museum. It's actually in storage at the moment, apparently, but they have a collection of eggs with clowns' faces painted onto them. And the reason they do that is to trademark the individual makeup design of each clown, so you can't steal it. Anyway, look out for that. He never could retain the important things. He'd get custard pie on everything. He's a clown. Clown college dropout. He couldn't fit into the ejector seat. Now his big footprints wash away on the beach. He's a clown. Clown college dropout. He never learned how to get egg on his face, so now he's never gonna get his face on an egg. He is a clown. Clown college dropout. He was crying underneath the mask for years, but everybody thought they were Pierrot tears. He is a clown, clown college dropouts. Now hear him squeaking down the hall, struggling to juggle one single ball. He's a clown, clown college dropout. He never learned how to get egg on his face, so now he's never gonna get his face on an egg. He's a clown, clown college dropout. Apparently that's not how you're meant to play the bouzouki, as a Greek man told me on TikTok. But thank you for listening. I'm now going to hand over to an artist I'm really excited to introduce, a songwriter who was one of the first songwriters I came across in the Northeast, who I thought, this is so good. Why don't people know about this? A really funny writer. Paul Stewart, as the young property developers, plays these songs that are very dry and witty, but also kind of fast and punky and poppy at the same time. It's a really interesting mix, and I think has such an interesting sardonic kind of worldview, and I'm really looking forward to talking about these songs. But for now, please welcome the young property developers.
This bumbling isn't part of the act. I really am this hopeless. Thank you. Oh, yeah, of course. Thank you. This song's based on one of my favourite romantic comedies, which is the film Commando. It's called I Still Love You almost as much as a bit in Commando when he's putting all the gear on. Sorry, just adjusting the seat there. Never wanted to listen to Sorry, that went a bit wrong. Never wanted to listen to Anthrax or watch YouTube clips of Mr. T. None of us particularly cared at all. We remembered the film Breakfast at Tiffany's. You always want to slag off R.E.M. Even though there's nothing wrong with them. You change channel when you see Leslie Joseph. Don't get why you find her to be so corrosive. But I still love you almost as much as a bit in Commando when he's putting all the gear on. I still love you almost as much as a bit in Commando when he's putting all the gear on. I still love you almost as much as a bit in Commando when he's putting all the gear on. I still love you almost as much as a bit in Commando when he's putting all the gear on. When he gets out of the shed and throws the blade through that lad's head and chops another's arm off with an axe. That bit is also proper class, but it's no him loading the guns and that. I still love you almost as much as a bit in Commando when he's putting all the gear on. I still love you almost as much as a bit in Commando when he's putting all the gear on. I still love you almost as much as a bit in Commando when he's putting all the gear on. I still love you almost as much as a bit in Commando when he's putting all the gear on. Thank you. Sorry, I was having sleep. It was me that requested this high stool as well, and it's obviously for the comedy of errors, mishap factor. This next song is called How the Hell Were You There During the Stone Roses Heyday When You're Just About 35? Younger than me, and I was only 7 years old when that album came out. Yet you were there with that kind of hair and those kind of trainers that you're wearing now. Maybe you were born on Spike Island. Maybe you're mixed up with the seahorses. Maybe you just got younger or something. Perhaps so you're just fond of telling tall tales. Oh, how the hell were you there during the Stone Roses heyday when you are just about 35? How the hell were you there during the Stone Roses heyday when you are just about 35? Were you there during the Stone Roses heyday when you are just about 35? How the hell were you there during the Stone Roses heyday when you are just about 35? Thank you. This is one of my least funny songs. I don't know why I put it in this. Just like an obstacle to a challenge. That's called Denise, by the way. To write that song, it's in the bin where it belongs. I just felt wrong. He'd won you over with some words that I believe were stolen from a love letter found inside a conflict sleeve. We spent the morning in a rush. You did your makeup on the bus. We had some details to discuss, and I brought up the exploited example just to make you see that what's relevant to Alan actually might not mean much to me. Could we for today disregard the DB debate and just enjoy the promenade? Let's watch the Punch and Judy show and stick our tongues out at that wanker CSO. So dumb to write that song, it's in the bin where it belongs. I just felt wrong. It doesn't matter, you ignored my heartfelt plea. It doesn't matter that you wouldn't ask your uncle for a cigarette for me. We bought a blue bucket and spade. We got tattooed off Barbara Wade. We drank from tins of lemonade. Sandcastles were made, forget you fucked my copy of Play Fast or Die, or the cross of a thrash image that we tried to hinge onto in July. Cause I've been here 5 times before. I enjoyed it each time, but this time I've enjoyed it more. I'm pretty crazy amusement arcade where we first realized everything would be okay. We spent all of our money on the tuppenny falls, and only half my jokes were funny, but I couldn't help telling them all. You took your merry time to get here, I'll tell you now you are. The day you warmed to me has been the warmest day that I have known so far. I don't suppose you'd pose for photos by the sea. Factor in Philip's reaction, everything is still okay to me. We'll never agree on the value of UK82, but despite the fight tonight, I am so glad I spent the day with you. Denise, 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 Denise. Type by rats. Thank you. I did remember to announce the title of that song beforehand, didn't I? Sorry, I'm just grabbing my cup. This next song is about the death metal Morbid Angel having a lovely day out at the Gateshead Garden Festival in 1990. It's called Morbid Angel Goes to the 1990 Gateshead Garden Festival. On the altars of madness tour, Morbid Angel got fed up with their friends and deicide, so they took the opportunity to pour over a local What's On Events travel guide. They were sold as soon as they saw before them on the glossy pages inside a Ferris wheel, a monorail, and what's more, a greenhouse teeming with colourful butterflies. Was a blazing hot day. Dave, Pete, Richard, and Trey, with their minds made up, they were on their way. Morbid Angel goes to the 1990 Gateshead Garden Festival. They all clapped their hands once they parked their van, purchased their tickets, and off in they ran. Morbid Angel goes to the 1990 Gateshead Garden Festival. They saw sculptures and flowers and model railways. Drinking ice cold Pepsi, they stood in awe of the wonderful horticultural displays. There was even animals they adored. They took photographs to show to their mates. In obituary, autopsy, and cannibal corpse, they knew that they would be jealous of this magical place. Was a blazing hot day. Dave, Pete, Richard, and Trey had a lot of fun and learned one or two things along the way. Morbid Angel went to the 1990 Gateshead Garden Festival. They had a marvelous time, then they waved goodbye. They rejoined their tour refreshed and revived, and went on to play some of their finest ever death metal. All thanks to their day at the 1990 Gateshead Garden Festival. Thanks so much. This next song is about it's about my job at work. Believe it or not, my job at work, I'm actually a high court judge, and this is pretty much a diary of my day. So no real jokes in here, but you know. I am a judge. I've got my own court. I'm allowed to wear a cloak and people call me Lord. I've got my own quarters. I decide the stretch. I'm allowed to bang a little hammer off my desk. I am a judge. I am a judge. I am a judge. Thank you. And don't inform the authorities, but this next song is about what I do as a sideline, make a bit of extra money. It's judging's a bit of a lean game these days. This is called I Forged Documents. I've got my own business now, it's ever since that I learned how to counterfeit some paperwork to the levels of an expert. Now people always come to me when they want to flee the country. I meet them in a dark alley, exchange the papers for a fee. I forge documents, it's a nice little earner. I do it well, no one can tell, even the top discerners. I forge documents, it's quite the cushy caper. So you hand me the readies, I'll hand you the dodgy papers. Drop by my lockup for a visit. My watermark work is exquisite. No matter what it is, I'll whiz it. Deeds, licenses, certificates. People always come to me when they have stolen some antiques. I meet them in a dark alley, exchange the papers for a fee. I forge documents, it's a nice little earner. I do it well, no one can tell, even the top discerners. I forge documents, it's quite the cushy caper. So you hand me the readies, I'll hand you the dodgy papers. So hand me the readies, I'll hand you the dodgy papers. Is that my drink? Sorry. It's like being an idiot makes people wait on your hand and fart. It's pretty... Sorry, thank you. This next song is called Why the Hell Did I Get a Tattoo of a Skull Wearing a Top Hat with Dr. Oren Roll written underneath it in a scroll. This really isn't me. This really has to be the most out of character thing that I have ever done. I've racked my memory, no reasons come to me. Have I joined Guns N' Roses? Have I joined LA Guns? How the hell could I have sat there? How the hell did I get here? How the hell could I not tell that this was a bad idea? How will I get out of the trouble that I'm in? When I get home and my mum sees what I've done to my skin. Oh, why the hell did I get a tattoo of a skull wearing a top hat with Dr. Oren Roll written underneath it in a scroll? Why the hell did I get a tattoo of a skull wearing a top hat with Dr. Oren Roll written underneath it in a scroll? Thanks very much. This next song is called My Wife is the Mayor. I get to go to the library. I get to drink free coffee and tea. I get to sit in a limousine. I get those gold chains clean. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My wife is the mayor. Oh, yeah, yeah. My wife is the mayor. I get sad in the town square. My wife is the mayor. My wife is the mayor. My wife is the mayor. Thanks so much. I'm okay for time. I've got like 5 left. Okay. All right. Yeah. Cool. Okay. This next song is called I Love You, but please stop talking about Radiohead's performance at Glastonbury. Maria, my dear, my aim is fairly true, and you know I'd break my fingernails for you, but I must please request that you relent repeating each last detail of that event. I know you saw it on TV long before that you met me with your ex who respects Pete Doherty. Not the weather so blustery, no faulty electricity. Cables could dampen the majesty. Not a day has passed us by where you have failed to try to explain the importance of it to me. I love you, but please stop talking about Radiohead's performance at Glastonbury. This world would be a touchless cruel like you wish the Smiths were your favorite band in school, but we could swim with dolphins to Dollywood and back. We could be drinking milk in space. It would not outshine the fact that you saw it on TV long before that you met me with your ex who respects Pete Doherty. Not the weather so blustery, no faulty electricity. Cables could dampen the majesty. Not a day has passed us by where you have failed to try to explain the importance of it to me. I love you, but please stop talking about Radiohead's performance at Glastonbury. It's too late to start today. Let's just get this wedding out the way. If you could throw the bouquet and think of some other things to say, preferably involving me, or something I said once that was quite funny. Anything but Radiohead's triumphant performance at Glastonbury 1997, not 2003. 'Cause that year they didn't play the song Creep, and that's your favorite song. Yeah, I know that you really like that one. Thank you so much. This next song is called You Lost Your Heart to a Local Vest Enthusiast. You led me to believe that you shared certain views with me as we whiled away the early hours slurping cups of tea. I said you get some divvies, mind, and you said don't you just. When things were going badly, you were someone I could trust. You came around again, my trademark awkwardness arose. You just had to say hello to me and I'd almost propose. But the words that I spoke to you soon became words to regret. When you became besotted by the flip-flop wearing set, and you lost your heart, you lost it fast to a local vest enthusiast. Spy where you said in the past you turned your back and ran, impressed by vests and thus attached to a local vest enthusiast, one of the town's most prominent Kasabian fans. The pensive thoughts in my thick head quickly became unstuck, got smashed to bits and rearranged to spell out the phrase bad luck. I understand you're overjoyed to be a part of things, but stop putting your fingers on my heart, it really stings. 'Cause you lost your heart, you lost it fast to a local vest enthusiast. Spy where you said in the past you turned your back and ran, impressed by vests and thus attached to a local vest enthusiast, one of the town's most prominent Kasabian fans. To the shirtless dopey fun. Now you laugh at sarcastic mustache appreciation. You've made friends with his friends' girlfriends and you've made me upset. You paid for the tattoo of his own name on his neck, and you lost your heart, you lost it fast to a local vest enthusiast. Spy what you said in the past, you turned your back and ran, impressed by vests and thus attached to a local vest enthusiast. One of the town's most prominent Kasabian fans. Thank you. Just got a few more, if that's all right. Yeah. This next song is called Chance Encounter Outside the Washateria. I had news to share. The copy of Ride the Lightning I accused you of taking, well, I found it underneath the stairs. I suppose I'm really sorry about that. I was mistaken when I saw you. I intended to make my mistake known. However, you preempted with a bombshell of your own. You're engaged to be married in the first week of July. He popped a question at tea in the park just before BDI. Furthermore, you now adore the things we used to mock back then. You have the DVDs of Danny Dyer's Deadliest Men. It's just a very irritating conversation, not just looking to get worse. And you know fine well I'm just not cut out for this idiotic conflict. I'm too wrapped up in myself, and the ones labeled fragile are the first ones to be drop-kicked. You expect my cigarettes between bouts of boastful claims of socializing with some of the town's trendiest names. It's a silly conversation I want to get out of soon. Go on to call you all the bastards in my head all afternoon. Meanwhile, I harbor intentions to hatch a dastardly plan to put a cat among the pigeon detectives' fans. It's just a very irritating conversation that's just looking to get worse. By the way, I don't watch things about spaceships, so that joke was made groundlessly. And I don't really think Jamie Theakston is the same person as Jamie T. And I did not go mad 3 years ago. Oh, what would Donna's cousin know? Apart from lots of things about lots of things that I think are stupid, obviously. I've got two more really short ones, if that's cool. This song's called it's Sepultura's Picnic, and it's self-explanatory, really. I don't need to go on any long and winding explanations or anything like that. Sepultura's Picnic. No, that's wrong. Sorry. Sepultura's Picnic. Megadeth was there. Sepultura's Picnic. Megadeth was there. Sepultura's Picnic. Megadeth was there. There was lots of tasty food, courtesy of the Cavalieras. Sepultura's Picnic. Megadeth was there. Thank you. This one's probably one of my most spiteful songs, I guess. Entirely justified spite, of course, you know, but yeah, this song's called what's this one called again? Oh yeah, it's called Actually I Think Kicking Someone Off an Open Mic While Also Looking and Sounding Like Jamesy off Rob C. Nesbitt is Good. the open mic if you're gonna play songs that I don't like, especially if I've only played for an hour and a half. I'll stand up and kick you out of there. I'll motion you out of my precious chair and pick up for another fucking hour where I left off. Before you had the nerve to walk through the door, I know what people want, and it's me some more. And actually I think kicking someone off an open mic while also looking and sounding like Jamesy off Rapsy Nesbitt is good. Actually I think kicking someone off an open mic while also looking and sounding like Jamesy off Rapsy Nesbitt is good. Thanks so much, you've been really kind. I can't wait for the rest of the thing. Love you, bye.
Try not to make it seem like I'm kicking Paul off again here, but we will now have a 15-minute interval. Please refill your glasses if you want to before Nicky Bray. All right, hi everyone. Thank you for coming back. So our last act, Young Property Developers, I first saw play at a party organised by the Levain Gardens. Standing outside a house in the street and scaring the neighbours. It was wonderful. And Nicky Bray, who we're going to hear from now, I first heard at the Night She Runs, Tower of Song, which is a fantastic event for local songwriters, which encourages people to write their own new material on particular themes. And I'm probably cutting into some of your patter here, which is, I think, the enemy of comedy, isn't it? Stealing your jokes. But the idea of writing songs on different themes in different genres, I think is so interesting because it brings out, it sort of makes you do lots of different things as a songwriter, and it encourages you to engage with different things about music and lyrics. And I'm sure you'll hear that in Nicky's work. She has a wonderful array of songs in all kinds of styles and all kinds of subjects that also show, you know, a real kind of appreciation and study of the craft of songwriting. So we'll hear from Nicky, and then we'll have another interval, and then we'll hear about that from Nicky and Paul in our panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Oh God, I hope I live up to that now. All the stuff I'm just doing because I like the sound of it is all clever and technical songwriting. Well, let's find out. I don't know. And that was amazing set, Paul. I just absolutely loved it, wasn't it? Yeah, more appreciation for the young property developers. Amazing. Right, so I'm going to try and keep the banter down a bit, which for me is a very big challenge. Nev's in the audience. I think he maybe has the same problem as well. Trying to make more music than talking in the set is quite a balance, isn't it? Sometimes it's a delicate balance. So I'll try and keep it short, and then we can have a chat afterwards. But I guess I will, when these songs have been written on briefs because of our songwriting event, I will, if I can remember, I'll tell you what the brief was. So the brief was to write a song about obsolescent. Oh, that's not a good start. Things that are obsolete in the style of flamenco. And this is about as near as I get to flamenco. And this was about, so remember in 2016, all the really good celebrities died. And then we thought, well, 2017 is going to be better. And then there was a shortage of middle-class vegetables. So it was not a good year either. So this is about that. We're all still obviously thinking about that. It's quite sad. But anyway, this is it. Called an aubergine, so that's a little clue about some of the vegetables. In my local Waitrose, what did I see there? Too many onions and other shells bare. I scan the selection and I start to sweat. I cannot detect a single courgette. Where are they hiding? This brings bad tidings. They say that bad weather across southern Spain has caused all the crops to diminish. But I will be crushed if I must entertain the thought of ex-Florentine without spinach. M&S, but one sweep of their food court compounds my distress. The smiling cashier is a mere smoke screen. Her face, it falls flat when I ask, aubergine. The plot, it grows darker. What about my moussaka? They say it could last until springtime at best. The shortage that has so upset me. But I'll be aghast if I have to ingest actual pasta instead of courgette. Who could have predicted this vegetable hex like a Spanish imposition that no one expects? They say that the artichoke's probably next. Ole! Adios to my 5 a day. I did a bad thing to myself. That's a really old one. Well, 2017, you know, when it's right. And I changed, you know, when you go back to an old song and sometimes you go, oh, I can think of some better lyrics for that. Clever me. And then you change them and then it really like fools when you play it. You're like, oh, which one? So it was past me that actually made the mistake and fooled future me on that one. So that's what happened there. Right. So the next one, I've waited a whole song to ask for audience participation to happen. So would anyone like to play the Vibra Slap? I mean, yes is always the answer to that. Would you like to know what it is before you... So a bit did fall off it on the carpet before, so hopefully that doesn't mean... so this is how you play it. You don't have to be forceful. Maybe not like that. The beginning of Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne. All Along the Watchtower, Jimi Hendrix's version. Hawaii 5-0. This features in all of them. So who would like to... I'll tell you when to play it, and then you'll probably ignore me and do it when you want. Steve, would you like to... There we go. So so at the beginning of each verse, I'm going to go... Oh, I'm going to play it right. I was just trying to make you look good there by making a mistake. And then... Yeah, that's right. And then... That's so good. The last time I asked someone to do this, it was in Leeds. I'm not slagging off Leeds, that's where I live. They weren't that good, so well done. That's what they always tell people, you're the best audience I've ever had. Your Vibra Slapping is the best I've ever had. But it is, Steve. That's really genuine this time. So there's going to be 3 verses, and that's going to happen at the beginning of each verse. And then for the rest, for the chorus, you can have a rest. And then at the end, just go batshit, basically. So yeah, great. Me and Steve in our new band called, what was the new band name we thought up? Corrugated Sister. Yeah, so this is our new duo, Corrugated Sister. Here we go, Steve. This is a song about careers advice in schools in Newcastle in the early 90s. So a few of you went to the same schools as me, so maybe you experienced it as well. So. Came a bit too quick, you came there, but there's room for improvement. That's fine. You haven't ruined it or anything. I recall our school careers advice. No, this you can have a rest now, Steve. This is. Can you maybe take it off? It's like once I did a gig and I gave a child my glow sticks. I was like, I'll have them back in half an hour. A child isn't going to give you glow sticks back. So no more of that till the next verse. I'll look at you, Steve. You'll know. Yeah, so yeah. Wait, all right, one more then, yeah. I recall our school careers advisor. She was decidedly cruel and we despised her. If you had a slightly ambitious aspiration, she was vicious in her condemnation. This is what she'd say. You want to be a singer, your voice could break vases. An astronaut for NASA, ha! That's as reachable as Mars is. You'll fall short of your goal to be a footballer. You need to aim smaller. Perfect. Not very subtle, so I love it. See, less is more sometimes, people. Dreams were blasted. Our fledgling fantasies brutally blasted. Fixed with her withering glare, we filled with doubt as our preferred professions were all ruled out. I can still hear her now. You'll never make it, baker. Your cakes are like granite. An astronaut for NASA, ha! You're living on another planet. A novelist, what? You've lost the plot. Your visions are pure fiction. You need to shelf the laws. So you best forget your ambition to be a politician. Because the job at Kentucky Fried Chicken or strawberry picking is more likely to come to fruition. And you better abandon your plan to be a fashion designer and live in Milan. You just weren't meant to be a TV presenter, for your true calling is a call center. Saving the best till last. When I opted to introduce her to the plan I'd concocted for my future, I knew it would truly surprise her when I cried, I'll be a careers advisor. But this is what I'll say, I'll never steer you away from being a racing car driver. The world is your oyster. Hey, you could be a deep sea diver. And if your mind is set on being a neurosurgeon, I'll cast no aspersions. Your aim for lion taming will be fiercely respected, and it would be a crime to deter you from being a detective. And as for NASA, that's fine. I hope the stars align. And if you joined a bomb disposal squad, that would blow my mind. Hey, 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 hey. Everybody, Steve, the real star of that. I'm going to swap instruments. Thank you. Right, okay. Oh, time for me to wear some props, which is... Okay, so... Oh, there was a brief for that one. It was what I want to be when I grow up, I think was the brief. I can't remember what the style was. But this was a... Oh, glasses off first. I always do this, yeah. So, where have you all gone? No, it's fine. So, yeah. Right, my sister lent me this. It's good when you get really sweaty and your glasses fall off. This stops it happening. So there we go. What's it called? What is one of those things? How do people know what to search for in the break? The reason I own lots of percussive fruit and vegetables is I went to see a Divine Comedy, and you were there, weren't you? And the keyboard player, accordion player, had a banana on top of his keyboard, and it's like, oh, that's good. Yeah, have a little snack later on. And then later he picked it up and started to shake it. And Googling percussive banana, and now I've got all kinds. I've got percussive vegetables, eggs, all kinds of things like that. So you too could own things like that. And if you're a hoarder, your house can also look like mine. So this is the prop for this one. So, Chris, is this biologically accurate? Definitely good. Is the long intestine really this long? I mean, clue's in the name, isn't it? I'll stop putting on it. It's fine. Well, you can come and tuck it back in after going. That's fine. It's good. Is there a doctor in the house? Yeah, luckily there is. So, this was for. So we run Tower and Song in Leeds every month, and we've been doing that since 2013. But now we run it less regularly in Newcastle. So if you're interested in finding out where and when, do ask me. And there's some of our amazing regulars here. This was written for the theme of weirdly specific insecurities, I think. So here we go. It's called Organ Recital. Is that everything? Yeah, that's everything. Okay. So, okay. Let's just just make sure my lungs don't pop off in the middle of it. I don't like my nose, but I don't have to look at it. I don't like my nose, but I don't have to look at it. I have to cross my eyes just to see the tip of it. I don't like my nose, but I've learned to live with it. I don't like my ears, but I don't have to look at them. I don't like my ears, but I don't have to look at them. I don't like my ears, so I berate and bemoan them. I don't like my ears, but I'm grateful to own them. And I don't like my nose, I think that it blows. I don't like my chin, but I don't have to look at it. I don't like my chin, but I don't have to look at it. I don't like my chin, there's just something about it. I don't like my chin, but I'd look stranger without it. I don't like my lips, but I don't have to look at them. I don't like my lips, but I don't have to look at them. I don't like my lips, I certainly didn't choose them. I don't like my lips, but I frequently use them. And I don't like my nose, but it's growing on me, I suppose. And although my exterior may be inferior to my exacting criteria, I should be looking inside when deriving pride. It's not tied to the size of your thighs or posterior. And I love my liver, it never fails to deliver a ceaseless supply of bile. That's why I digest in style. And I revere the way my kidney rids me of urea. And as for my spleen, it's a lean, mean cleaning machine. And my lungs take my breath away as they fill me with air and with admiration at their flair for oxygenation. And my heart pumps round my blood, and my heart is full of love. And my heart pumps round my blood, and my heart is full of love. Whoa. And my heart pumps round my blood, and my heart is full of love. Whoa. And my heart pumps round my blood, and my heart is full of love. Everyone. And my heart pumps round my blood. Do this as well. Come on, Dad. Don't be lazy. Well, don't have you look like you're having a heart attack then. That's not. I don't want that. Sorry. Okay, you put everyone off now, right? We go. And my heart pumps round my blood, and my heart is full of love. Whoa. And my heart pumps round my blood, and my heart is full of love. And my heart pumps round my blood. Oh, which I'm doing too, aren't I? Yeah, that doesn't do that, does it? Anyway, we get the gist there. And my heart pumps round my blood, and my heart is full of love. And my heart pumps round my blood, and my heart is full of love. So let me hear you shout, it's what's inside that counts. And with our loving hearts, let's cherish all our body parts. I did that last night. I almost finished on the wrong chord, but pulled it back right at the end and then didn't make a massive thing about it so everyone knew it had happened. Right, so this... that's only. Have I got time for 3 more songs, Richard? Or
I think so.
do you think so? Okay, let's keep in touch about it. Yeah, let's keep talking. Right. Okay. So, Right, quick. So this was what was the briefs for this one? Reasons to be cheerful, and the genre was cat sounds, which isn't necessarily a genre, but, you know, you run a night for a long time and people run out of kind of different genres. So, yeah, that's it, and you're going to learn something here. And this also feeds into my love of other languages. The first job I had a long time ago was kind of promoting the study of foreign languages in schools, so this kind of, yeah, and it's about animals as well, so all the good stuff. Right. Today I made an amazing discovery. I can't hide my smile and my mind feels all lovely. Do you know what sound a cat makes in Japanese? It's nya 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 nya. I found a sound that makes me feel cheerful. Come gather round and I'll give you an earful. It takes luck to make the sound of a Danish duck. It's rap, 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 rap. Rap, 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 rap. All this time I never heard about the word we used to describe the sound of birds, and whether they were the same in Sudan or Ukraine. Now allow me to be too blunt. The Albanian pig doesn't oink or grunt. That's a myth I will debunk. 'Cause it goes honk, 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 honk. The Albanian pig, it goes honk, honk. For a pig, I think that's pretty punk. Honk, 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 honk. When I feel down and things get on top of me, I think of these sounds, it's a glorious cacophony. Do you know what sound a bird makes in Portuguese? It's pew, 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 pew. Pew, 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 pew. And most of us would be at a loss if we tried vocalizing the sound of a fox. Except in Japan, where they're not foxed by the fox's voice box. So how does the fox go? It goes con, 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 con. The Japanese fox, it goes con, con. I promise I'm not having you on. Con, con. And I bet you guessed by now, the Romanian dog doesn't go bow wow. So join in if you can. 'Cause it goes ham, 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 ham. The Romanian dog, it goes ham, ham. The Albanian pig's not a fan. Ham, 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 ham. And if you hear something go kero, kero, it's a Japanese frog that's saying hello. Thank you. The educational section is over. I know there's people in the audience who are going to be rushing up to teach me the words for animal noises in other languages later, so please do, could put another verse in there, maybe in your honour. Right, so this is where it gets a bit silly. Okay, so just back in track. Right, so this was quite an old Tariff song prompt, crisps in a barbershop style. And so this was, and I was also dealing with something traumatic from my youth that I wanted to talk about via the medium of song. So this is where it gets quite serious and personal. And I need 2 crisp distribution assistants. And your job is to distribute packets of crisps into the audience as spot prizes. Would anyone like to be? One of you will be Louise and Onion, and the other one will be Dawn Cocktail. Does that make it any more tempting? But you won't be able to win crisps, but you will be giving the joy of crisps to others. And if no one volunteers, nobody gets crisps. So you're all going to stay behind after school for that. Niven, would you like to be a crisp distribution assistant? I'm going to pick. Oh, go on. Right, so Louise, and that's your. These are new. Nobody's worn these before, so you won't catch anything from. You've got kids. You probably catch everything all the time anyway. Yeah, probably not going to catch nits, are you? So we're safe there. Yeah. No, that's brilliant. That's exactly like that. Do you want to be Dawn? You look like more of a Dawn Cocktail to me. Very good, excellent. At school, we knew this was going to happen, didn't we? Yeah, it was many years ago. At least half an hour ago. It was like at least That's a very long time ago. Who would like to be Louise and Onion? Or you could be Freddie Salted. That means, don't know. That could have been a no, you've got to be Dawn Cocktail. We're playing with genre and gender. That's fine. Anyway, Marianne, would you like to be Louise and Onion? You could even just stay sat down because you're in quite a good position for it. And so what will happen? And the audience need to know that as well. And also, can I have the bags back afterwards because these are quite useful. Last time I did it, I lost some bags. I'm a freelancer. Every little counts. So you're going to distribute first, Dawn, and you're going to be. So if you want to familiarise yourself with the 3 flavours of crisp, and when you hear your favourite flavour of crisp in the song, I want you to do an individual Mexican wave. Well, if you all do it, it's going to be like a proper one. And then if you're the first person to do an individual Mexican wave, either Dawn or Louise will distribute that flavour of crisp. That's quite well explained for me. So familiarise yourself with the. Your first and that's the first. And it will be. You will take turns distributing as well. Normally we'd have a week's training course, but obviously that's. We haven't got time. It's a long time ago we were at school. Right. Okay. So that's that. I think that's everything about that. I've got a hat for it. That's good, yeah. Oh, no, that isn't everything. Right, so, because it's barbershop, I had to record 3 of me doing the backing vocals. And for years, I was using just cardboard cutouts. Firstly, they got very mangled. And secondly, I'd lost them the other day because I was decluttering. Don't declutter, you lose everything. And also, they were me like in 2015 when I wrote the song. And someone did tell me at a community music session I ran the other day, it's like when you use a really old photo for your dating profile. So these are very modern. This was me, Switzerland for the Women's Euros. Yeah, not to show off, but yeah, I was there. This is, and this is generally my most common face in photographs, isn't it, Ali? I think So I think that's everything. Can anyone even remember what we're doing here? Yeah, that's fine. So So listen, favourite flavour of crisp, individual Mexican wave. You could be a winner. And that's it. Yeah. So here we go. Lovely. I suspect this might need to be the last song, Richard. Yeah. Oh, Gary Lineker, I always saw you as a winner, sir, till you started selling salt and vinegar, which I found rather sinister. Oh, Gary Lineker, such an outstanding fellow. You never once got a yellow card at club level or in your 80 internationals. So I find this quite irrational, unwishable and unnutritional. Your moral code, it never could be faulted until you sold your soul for Eddie Salted. So Help me, Gary, please solve this conundrum. How did you go from football hero to peddling cheese and onion? Oh, Gary Lineker, I bet your children, that's yours, they'll never finish their dinner, sir. Living in a household full of packs of saturated, fat-filled snacks. Those are the facts, Gary Lineker. You were the soccer sweetheart of the nation, till your fans you did forsake for smoky bacon. So tell me, Gary, what's your motivation to endorse Worcester sauce with evident elation? What's the matter with you people? Take heed, Gary Lineker. Your former teammates aren't getting any thinner, sir. Glenn Hoddle Waddles and Chris Waddle's grown oh so wide, and Gazza would be far more live if not for the pull of sour cream and chive. So tell me why, Gary Lineker, why? Tell me why, Gary Lineker, why? Louise and Dawn, everyone! Amazing. Thank you so much. These have been christened. Excellent. Very good. So, what flavours do you like? Chicken or weird shit like that? What other flavour? I mean, prawn cocktail wasn't in there. Well, I said you couldn't win. You could actually win. You could have each won 3 packets of crisps. Everybody was weird. I don't actually like crisps. I don't want slagging you all off. Should we leave it there, Richard? What do you think? Yeah, I think, because the next one's the bra one, and it's all the teaching them the call and response and the boob hat and all. They could, that save that for another time. That's a real highbrow humour. We'll leave that out. But thank you, Kyle and Kester and Richard for this beautiful event that you've got on. It's so lovely, and thank you for asking me to play. And Paul, so good. And do you want to say that there's a break, or I think there's a break. There's a break.
10 minutes.
10 minutes. I think you can probably hear Richard talking, but yeah, that's 10 minutes. See you back here. Clear all this away.
Hello. All right, that was the final. It's the final countdown. That was the final loud clap of the evening, which signals the start of our third and final section. We're running about 10 minutes behind. I hope that's okay with people. So it's about 10 past 7. We're going to have a Q&A until 20 to 8. I'll ask a few questions of our lovely guests, and then I'll open the floor to you. So the concept here is sort of, imagine the South Bank show if Melvin Bragg had to sit in a little chair. So our theme, as you know, is comedy and music. And I think not everyone puts those things together, but certainly some of my favourite writers do. And I'm guessing that's going to be the case for our 2 panellists as well. So my first question is, what are some early memories you have of songs that were funny or finding music funny? One that I can think of is hearing Common People on the radio when I was about 8 years old and thinking, I didn't know songs could do stuff like this. Any for you, Nicky?
Well, the sad thing is that when I was kind of growing up and first getting into music, I grew up on metal, so many of Paul's references. Yeah. I only had one Morbid Angel album on vinyl, but yeah, lots of those references kind of hit home. So like for me, it's kind of sad because when I first started writing songs, I'm aware I'm not answering the question at all, but I'll get somewhere near it by the end of it. I started writing funny songs, and then I got into metal when I was about 13, and then everything became really serious, and it was like, and you have to like death metal, the heaviest metal you can possibly like. And then what I needed was young property developers writing metal songs that were funny, but so I didn't listen to kind of funny music really when I was growing up and playing in my first bands, and so it's only really more recently that I like songwriters who were funny. So None, probably, if I can remember the question. But so that's quite sad. But so actually in my music and songwriting for a long time, I kind of moved away from comedy, and it wasn't till I became a responsible adult, not really, that I kind of went back to comedy, really. So
came crashing back in.
Yeah.
Great. Well, maybe we'll talk in a minute about songwriters that you find funny now. But Paul, what about those kind of early influences?
Yeah, I think the first one I remember was when I was 8 years old as well, but it was like showing my age about several years before Pulp's Coming People. I was at John Ketley as a weatherman.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was the first one I really liked. The first song I really liked. And when I was into metal as well, I mean, I can't believe you've never heard of Gua or Lawnmower Death. Come on. So that was that was Gua and Lawnmower Death when I was into metal as well, and kept us from being totally serious. But I think like whatever genre of music I ended up getting into, it was probably like punk was the one really that had the most humorous, sort of like the Toy Dolls or the Dead Milkmen and stuff like that. And after that, sort of like King Missile, Half Man, Half Biscuit, of course, and so on and so forth. Those were probably the ones that got us into the old music with a humorous bent kind of thing.
Can I change my answer? He's done all the right answers. That's reminding me of all those things.
It's a good roundup, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think it shows that there's quite a lot of different ways to be funny in music as well. I mean, there's a sort of exaggeration of some of these comic metal bands you talk about versus something like Half Man, Half Biscuit, very dry, very sort of observational. I'm going to jump around these questions in a random order, I think, because I think this sort of suggests one of them anyway. I think both of you use a lot of really precise details in your music, and that's something I think of with Half Man, Half Biscuit. But Paul, thinking about your songs that mention some of these other bands like LA Guns, the Pigeon Detectives, not names to conjure with, names I'd forgotten existed until I heard them in your music. Do you think that precision is kind of important for comedy? What draws you to those kinds of references?
I don't know really. I think a lot of it could just be like what I'm sort of thinking about at the time kind of thing. Well, I don't know, I guess I couldn't really, I maybe should have thought about this one. Why do I pinpoint such things? I don't know, maybe it's because, I don't know, again, I'm maybe a bit older. And that's sort of like, when I thought of these, like the Pigeon Detective thing, I was probably thinking of a specific event that irked me or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I think I just kind of like do focus on stuff that like in general I'll be like, this is the band who you would think of, but I, being so clever, have heard of this other band that no one would really think of in this situation. I don't know.
But it's getting the laughs, isn't it, by going to that sort of unexpected reference. And yeah, maybe not everyone in the room recognizes everything that you kind of throw in, but it's that sense of like, you can try to be funny by being as broad as possible and kind of aiming for this sort of imagined kind of neutral listener. But actually most people are going to find it funnier to just hear that little thing that kind of tweaks something that they thought no one else remembered.
Yeah, I think so. Again, I don't know. I think it's... Sorry, I've lost my train of thought.
That's all right. Well, I think we'll come back to you with some of the others. But Nicky, that idea of kind of precision, how does that kind of come across in your work?
Can you give me an example that I've done? It's like,
well, I mean, sometimes it's about the precision of the word, isn't it? Like, in the Aubergine song, any of your songs where you're kind of setting up a sort of complex rhyme, is that part of the process for you, is thinking that's going to really hit them? So
I'd never really thought about my songs in an analytical way until quite like a few months ago when my old uni, it was a college when I went there, had like a writers' festival, and they asked if I'd do like a workshop on lyric writing, and I thought, I could do it on like playful lyric writing and rhyming. You may have noticed I like to pop a few rhymes in there now and again. And so I was looking at stuff, and I'd played a gig I think just while I was preparing the workshop, and I was going to talk a lot about avoiding the unexpected, and like, because obviously there's a lot of songs out there. There's a lot of rhymes, particularly where, you know, you kind of know what's coming. So, for example, maybe baby, you know, there's a few that happens in a few songs. And I looked up, looked at the statistics about what were the most common rhymes and this and that. And I like to, I mean, not that I'm trying to be clever, but I like to have fun, to like play with language, and I like to, you know, make myself laugh. And I'm not going to make myself laugh with rhymes like maybe baby, like maybe baby gravy, baby Martin Scorsese, you know, stuff like that. And immediately it's just different, isn't it? It's not what someone's expecting. So I guess, yeah, that preciseness can be like interesting because somebody's not expecting it. And at this gig that I did in January, I was just kind of preparing this workshop and talking about, you know, hitting people with an unexpected rhyme, and then somebody at the gig said, "Oh, I really enjoyed your songs. I love the way you never know what the rhyme is that's coming up." And I was like, "Oh, phew, I feel qualified now to give this workshop and say." And again, like looking at you know, kind of perfect rhymes that match exactly, and then like. So even the terminology imperfect rhyme suggests that it's not as good to use imperfect rhymes, but like, but people know, like when I talk about perfect, this is as technical as I get, by the way, but yeah, so rhymes that don't, you know, all the sounds aren't exactly the same. So like baby and Martin Scorsese, it kind of, you know, it's close, but it's no cigar. So, and then, yeah, like, so as soon as you kind of start looking at widen it to imperfect what rhymes, you've got so much more choice. And but I think imperfect rhymes are pretty common now in songwriting. Everybody's relaxed a little bit, and yeah.
I was reading something recently about Tom Lehrer, the wonderful satirical songwriter who died recently, and he'd been interviewed in the 90s by Stephen Merritt from the Magnetic Fields about songwriting, and Magnetic Fields, they'd sent him an album to listen to. He said, "What do you think of it?" It's like, "Well, I think you're not as careful about your rhymes as I am." Which is, he seems like he was mostly a very nice man, but he obviously had a very hardline kind of old school Broadway policy about perfect rhymes. But I agree. I think it opens up a whole world. But that does kind of connect to another question I had, really, which is this idea of, you know, comedy and timing are often linked. And it feels like that thing about kind of landing the rhyme at the right time is absolutely part of that too.
You did it there?
Absolutely.
Yeah, master.
I've got more where that came from. So yeah, how much do you think about that rhythm and rhyme? Do you count your numbers? Are you very sort of meticulous with it, or does it just kind of arrive? I'll go to Nicky first, and then back to Paul.
So yeah, nothing that I do in songwriting is kind of conscious. Like I don't, like, obviously you can approach songwriting in a very technical, scientific way, but like I guess just, you know, if you've listened to music and played in bands and figured out what you like for kind of years, then you just develop, you kind of using the techniques without really knowing, I guess. So it's lovely when somebody does come along and go, "Oh, I think you've used comic timing." You're like, "Wow, yay!" So yeah, like, you know, like a baby learning a language, it's not like, it's using lots of rules and making mistakes and trying stuff out and finding what it likes and finding its own voice, but it's obviously, it isn't aware of the techniques that it's using and stuff. So, but I learned things by clever people telling me what I'm doing, or, you know, techniques that I might be using. I learned the term rubato, which you all know. I don't know how many people know rubato as a musical term. Chris, no, okay.
Mr.
So,
Rubato.
Robbing time, yeah. So stolen or robbing, which is Italian, isn't it, Ludo? Yeah. And I think there was a line which I actually think I fluffed in Aubergine, so I think my comic timing was a bit off. But an example of rubato would be the line, "I decide to slum it and try M&S." So kind of the tempo is shifted a bit. So the first bit's slower, and then I kind of, like, I've run out of time and the M&S comes quickly, so a stolen time from the M&S bit. So, and I guess it's comic timing because, you know, I'm slumming it. You think I'm going to say oldie or little, but no, I'm such a posho that slumming it is going to M&S. Actually, I shop at Morrison's, so just to get that in there. But so yeah, so it's exciting, isn't it, when you're using these techniques, and the fact that you can come at songwriting from a really technical, academic, scientific way, or you can just try stuff out and find out what works and see what people laugh at, and you get to the same place. I think it's really lovely, and it means anyone can do it. So, hooray. Yeah.
Nice. So, Paul, how much do you think about, obviously you're using all these techniques, rhythm and rhyme as well. Are you very meticulous with it? Do you tend to just see what happens?
Oh, I think about it a lot. Nah, just kidding. I like what Nicky said. I could only put it like infinitely less eloquently than that. So yeah, I think it's just like from doing it for so long, just getting obsessed with music, just listening to music all the time. And I think it's just like a natural like rhythm or whatever, and it just comes to you and you're like, God, where did that come from? I'm so brilliant. Like, I just want to. I'm not really that as narcissistic as that comment obviously made it sound, but yeah, it just, it just does sort of like when I actually get round to writing a song, it just sort of like one brick seems to go into place, and then the next one seems to come, and et cetera, and then. You know, you can look back and be like, oh, that's terrible, and I've changed it to this. What? Wikipedia, what? But, sorry to trail off again. At least I didn't rip my fingernail out like I did during the last question. But it's probably lying around here somewhere. Sorry.
Probably with the bit out of my Vibrus laugh, so yeah.
This is exactly what it's like on the South Bank show. So I mean, that leads to another. I didn't write this down, but it's just, I'm thinking this now. So do you tend to write in one go? Do you tend to follow an idea all the way through and then go back and edit?
Yeah, well, nowadays, I mean, I used to kind of like agonize over it so much. Like, I'd be like, right, I've got this song, I've got to put the words in place, and I would sit there all day and like, you know, and it's supposed to be like working and stuff like that. Just like thinking about it, writing stuff down on post-it notes. I think nowadays I'm just more like sort of like, one way is I could take a more immediate approach to it. Another way is to say like, I just can't be bothered anymore. But like usually now I'll just come up with a song title and that becomes the chorus, and then it's sort of like it's done quickly before I get bored, and then I like. Yeah, and then I probably will like think of better lines later on and put them in, stuff like that. But I'm trying to like break that cycle and think about it a bit more from now on, because like now when I do that, every song ends up with the same melody, and all right, I might as well play a C, F, and G and just sing that. So yeah. Lost my train of thought again, but yeah.
Can I say something? Just follow your song titles are hilarious, and it's like so clever that you kind of give away the punchline with the title, but then it's still really funny because we're then anticipating. It's like, you know, like if you watch like comedy that you really like, and you know, like me with Monty Python films, I know what's going to happen, so I'm laughing because it's funny, but I'm also laughing because I'm anticipating. I know what to expect, and that's cool. Kind of what your songs are like with the title.
Thank you. Yeah, I think at one point I just sort of thought, well, like. How more like not stupid, but how more like of a ridiculous, like what conclusion can I take this kind of title to, sort of thing. So I was like, nah, this is too like with the Morbid Angel goes to the Gay Take Garden Festival. I was just like, this is just too like much of a like stupid progression from the last one. And I was like, no, that's probably good. So.
You can never be
do
too
that,
stupid.
and people are nice to us. So yeah, I just keep mining that vein, that rich vein of humour.
in a fine Northeast tradition. Yeah. So I mean, it makes sense because I think, you know, one of the things that is so charming about your songwriting is that it does feel very casual and very immediate, but it's really interesting to know that then you'll go back and sort of refine as well. And Nicky, what about you? You mentioned at your gig yesterday having loads of crossings out on one of your lyric sheets.
It's like my desktop. On my laptop, there's so many things on my desktop that you can't even click on any of them because there's like 3 on top of each other. It's just insane. My diary's the same, isn't it? Paper diary. So it's a world of like confusion, yet out of it comes some stuff that people seem to enjoy. So I can't remember what the question was now. Sorry.
No, don't worry. Hadn't sent that one around before.
What was the question? Are you going to tell me?
It doesn't matter. Yeah. Another question would be, so I said in the intro that, you know, I was worried that you might feel like it was a bit of an insult to say, oh, you're comedy songwriters. And of course you're not just, and both of your bodies of work, I think, deal with, you know, serious issues, but sometimes from a kind of different, unexpected angle. So I guess I wondered, you know, do you think of yourself as a funny songwriter? Do you feel that that kind of guides your work, or how does that relate to other stuff that you're trying to do?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I find it really hard to write serious songs. And like, yeah, we talked about Nev before, managing to do both absolutely brilliantly. And I know other songwriters and friends in Leeds who do it. And people say, oh, how do you write such funny songs? It's really hard. And I'm not like, no, how do you write serious songs? Like, occasionally I have to do it for like work. Like I'm a freelance community music worker, so I can't always do songs about boobs. Although I did the song that I was going to do about boobs, well, it's about a wonder bra, which, yeah, I'm surrounded by boobs. It would have been perfect. I did. This goes. You asked about rewriting, so I'm going to reply to the last question. That's weird. If I replied every answer was the previous question, that'd be quite a fun game,
would have
wouldn't
been
it?
really
Yeah.
fun.
So I wrote this celebration of the Wonder Bra called Happy Memories, and I think it's the catchiest chorus that I've written. I was really proud of it. It was quite simple, and I'm usually overcomplicated. And then I wrote a song for like a group of refugee and asylum seekers, and I used the same song, but because it was a really catchy chorus. But obviously the lyrics weren't about a Wonder Bra, because that would have been confusing. But every time I sang it with the group, I just kept thinking, don't sing about the cleavages. So sometimes I take, I hadn't thought about that. Sometimes I take a comedy song and I rewrite it as a serious song, maybe for work or something. I say sometimes, I've only done it once, but I might do it again now I've thought of it. So
You've got a few.
Yeah. But serious songs, like, I mean, you heard the song that I played last night, which was kind of my most serious song, which was about how I learned to ride a bike. Well, almost learned to ride a bike when I was over 40, and just about like learning new things when you're older, and actually how doing things that you're crap at is quite nice because it's quite freeing. And when we get, like at school, I was quite academic and I thought I always have to get the top grades and I have to be perfect about everything. And then when I got into music, I had to be perfect, and I was a bass player and I couldn't make mistakes, and all that was really exhausting. And now that I'm like supposedly an adult, it's all about embracing imperfection, leaning into the mistakes, how exciting that is, and crowd participation, you don't know what to expect. So yeah, and I also have forgotten what the question was, but I think it was the previous one, so that's everyone's forgotten what it is.
I think a number of questions were touched on in the answer, so that's fine.
Good.
Paul, what about this this idea of kind of balancing comedy and other things you want to do as a writer?
Well, I would say I've always been an early adopter when it comes to embracing imperfection, really. I try as I might to recall, I don't remember a perfectionist period in my life.
Don't worry, I'm totally recovered now.
But yeah, I don't know. I think I've always kind of approached pretty much everything that came flying my way with an attempt at a sort of humorous look at it, really. I can't imagine. I don't know. I was probably like 13 writing Alice in Chains lyrics down when I was like in the middle of the night one time, just like, why is life so bad? But sorry, I forgot the question. A lot earlier than you did. You managed quite a sprawling.
That's fair comment.
Thing. That was meant as a compliment. I feel I've infringed on something here, but sorry. Can we start again?
It's all right.
So,
no one's recording this.
Welcome to Baba Yaga's Loft. So I guess, this question and some of my others are just about how comedy kind of relates to other stuff. So, I think, Paul, you have some lovely kind of tender songs, and you mentioned some spiteful songs too, but they're often interwoven, I think, in this really, really engaging way. And we've talked a little bit already about this idea of kind of mistakes and imperfection, but do you think comedy in music can sort of help you get away with mistakes? Does it mean that other things in your work are kind of less important, or how do you think about that?
It was easier before, and I didn't know what the hell the question was. No, as for mistakes, I think it's just always been my approach to life and whatnot. It's like something goes wrong, and it's sort of like, well, maybe I'll manage to make someone laugh by saying it in a voice like this, and just being like, yeah, God. made a mistake again. See, like, a few laughs there. Yeah, sorry. As from like mistakes musically and stuff like that, it's sort of like I think I'm always gonna do it, so it makes sense just to to laugh about it. I think in general I kind of get quite a lot of my song titles from mistakes and stuff like that. Like Tom Angel Ripper's Allotment. I was listening to Sodom on the beach one day. And I looked at my phone because I was like, oh, this song's mint. What is this? And it was a song called My Atonement by Sodom. And I thought, like, in my first instance of that, it was like My Allotment by Sodom. And I was like, yes, yeah. And then that became quite funny as well. I mean, I didn't play it at night, but I had a song called Neil Diamond versus King Diamond. And that was because I was reading this is a long story, but thankfully I'm putting more distance between myself talking and the question. So I was reading an interview with Tony the Cat Martin, who was the singer of Black Sabbath when they didn't really get talked about and stuff like that, and he was writing yeah, and he must have said King Diamond came down, but like I wasn't reading it properly because I was like trying to do work at the same time. So it's just like, and I read out as Neil Diamond came down. And then I thought, oh great, yeah, there's another song titled Diamond, similar, same name, very different singers. Yeah, sorry.
That's great. Diamonds in the rough. I think it's this idea, I think, of just a slightly offbeat look at the world, that things kind of stand out to you. And I think there are some people who just don't see the humor in these kind of little, I don't know, frictions in language. But obviously you both do. And I think I agree that it's kind of hard to imagine not taking a comic stance on a lot of things, because I think your life would be really miserable. I mean, I think it's there are so many things where actually it just makes sense to kind of process it through finding the funny. I've got a couple of sort of specific questions for each of you, and then I think we should probably sort of throw open to the crowd. I think we've covered most of the kind of questions that are general panel questions. So Paul, I'll put you on the spot one more time, and then I'll let you breathe, and I'll ask on to Nicky. So I asked you to play that song, My Wife is the Mayor, partly because I think it's really funny and I've only heard you play it once, but also because it just reminded me that you have quite a lot of songs that relate to sort of authority figures in some way, right? You've got I Am a Judge, you've got the little thing about the wanker CSO in Denise. And yeah, I just wondered kind of what's funny about them to you, this idea of authority figures in your songs. Is it sort of a place to push back? What do you think about them when they show up?
I don't know, maybe I think it's I think it goes probably beyond authority figures and just sort of like anyone with a kind of like haughty attitude and stuff like that. I guess maybe like in a lot of ways I think I'm easily the kind of person for somebody who may be so inclined to kind of look down on like wood kind of thing, with someone who like stutters and like talks like I do a bit. But yeah, so I think it might have been just sort of like, in a way, kind of like a vengeful thing when I'm writing songs, just to be like, all right, so you know, like you're not gonna ask your uncle for a tab for us, right? Or, that's coming up in the set. But you know, I think it is just a general sort of like wanting to be a bit mischievous, or a bit sort of like yeah, because again, I'm not the sort of person who like will be sort of like confrontational in any kind of situation. I'll just absorb, oh, this person thinks that's so great, or this person thinks that, and then like 5 years, 10 years later, when I'm writing a song, I'll just get a memory flash, and I'll be like, right, you're gonna rue the day that you that you as a CSO laughed with some teenagers as they were banging on my door, and I stuck my head out the window like, whoa. To mention specifics, but yeah. But yeah, sorry.
No, that's a lovely answer. Thank you. I mean, it reminds me of your final song about the guy at the open mic, and actually just the sense that, like, when you're up there singing, no matter what's happening, like, that is your time, right? That is your voice, space for your voice, and whatever you're saying, other people just have to listen. And sometimes that's quite important, I think. The judge one in particular, I'll get off this in a minute, but there's just something so funny to me about I'm allowed to bang a little hammer off my desk. It just defamiliarizing. That's a weird thing to do, right? It's a weird social ritual that we've created where the people who dole out criminal punishment have a tiny little hammer. I mean, like, and just calling attention to that just makes it all seem so ludicrous and kind of threadbare. It's great.
Yeah. The chords.
The open mic thing, I just wanted to say again, so many of your references hit home, but that specific experience, because me and my partner had been on holiday, and there was a guy running an open mic, and he played about 5 songs before he even considered inviting anyone up. But he had this thing, so he would be like, "All right," like, say he'd be like, "Right, you're next," and then so he'd right after this song, and then he'd go, "So." Oh no, actually, I'll just do another one. And that just took me right back to that open mic. So thank you for smashing him in your song, because he deserved it. He deserved it.
There's people who have too much power in our society. It's old men
in
pubs.
Open mic. The clue's in the name, open mic. Yeah. Anyway.
So then one final question for you, Nicky, and then I think we'll open it up to the room. So, I mean, you create an event which is very much not an open mic. It has a defined, time slot for everyone who participates, but it's encouraging people to write in different genres and on different themes. And I guess my last question for you is sort of what have you got from that process? What's interesting to you about writing these kind of pastiches? What has it kind of brought you as a songwriter?
Well, just say it is an open mic in the sense of you can just turn up. You don't need to sign up for a slot, and we won't send anyone away because they don't meet whatever the brief these crazy people have. But I mean, it's been like I said, we set it up in 2013. Me and my friend, who is actually a songwriting lecturer at Leeds Beckett, so he is actually qualified to do that. So I mean, and I'm not, but you do it through doing it. I was in probably the first band that I was in that really kind of experimented with different styles. I was in a band called Bonsai Kittens in the kind of early 2000s, and so it was me and Sarah, bass, guitar. We both sang, did silly dance moves, and which were ripped off a Japanese band I'd seen called X Girls, and we had sequencers, so we had everything at our disposal to do lots of different instruments and drums and stuff. And we liked to parody, though, family members who saw us will remember, we liked to parody different songs. So I had we co-wrote a song. It was the kind of the 60 girl group kind of teen tragedy songs, Leader of the Pack and all that. So we had a song. So my bandmate wrote the kind of music for it, and it was very much, you could kind of tell what was coming next with the music. It was very much a parody, and I wrote the lyrics inspired by my partner being in Asda and looking at the reduced price aisle and all the fighting that was happening, and his expression of terror. So we had this song Poor Johnny, which was in Asda, and it was about poor Johnny getting crushed to death in the reduced price aisle and stuff. So again, dealing with a traumatic subject via the medium of song. So that band was when I really started playing with music again and having fun and not taking it all so seriously. So when we started Tower of Song in 13, it was great. It's just like a gift being given a brief and a deadline and a performance opportunity in these different styles. And sometimes you start with a style and flamenco made me think, it was the weather in Spain that took away the vegetables. And so sometimes a genre can actually give you an idea for a song as much as the brief can, as much as the theme. So I find that kind of really interesting. And I've had so much fun, I've been able to rap songs and barbershop songs. And we had apocalypso was one of the genres. So calypso songs about the apocalypse. Oh, and sometimes there's a tie for the theme because we do it democratically. So we also had to write, apocalypso songs about regional names for bread. So that was a good so again, going back to specifics, I find it much easier to write if someone says write this rather than write on anything you want. We were talking about choice before. If someone says just write on anything, how the hell are you meant to decide? That's impossible.
Too many options,
So I've just for however many years we've been running it, 15 years, 12 years. I don't count my numbers. I think going back to the previous question, every month I get given these prompts, and so does everyone else comes to the night. So it's been an absolute joy to run the night. I get emotional every month because it's just amazing. We have all these people that come and everyone writes on the same theme, but they all write completely differently. And there's comedy songwriters and serious songwriters and new songwriters popping up all the time. It's just, it's a gift.
Yeah, and I feel like it just teaches you a lot about structure and different aspects of music as well. Sorry if I already said this in the introduction. It's been a long evening, but the last one of yours I did. Your theme was in the style of Bob Dylan. I tried to write something that was like a Dylan electric blues song. It meant I had to learn how to do the like. I didn't know how to do that before. I pick up a lot of music theory just by being told to do things that otherwise I've never tried to do. Okay, so that's everything from me. I think perhaps it's a little, we'll see if it's more relaxing to have a question you've never heard before from someone you might not know, but let's find out. Anyone in the room got a question for our panelists? Yeah, Stephen, thank you.
Yeah. I'm not going to ask the question that Paul gave to us before the show.
How did you get to be so funny?
Yeah.
I was like being so funny. I've asked a few people who asked that.
I'll check the phone, Paul. It was, Paul, why are you so funny? I'm not going to ask that. What I'm going to ask about is how far. So I've seen Paul play with lots of different artists. Obviously Nicky has as well. I'm not talking about mainstream artists here, but I'm just wondering how far other artists have kind of affected your writing, but also your performance, which might be a separate thing, kind of over the course of more recently, sort of since you've been playing yourselves.
Oh, well, obviously I was hugely inspired by playing with the agency. No, you're going to ask us how I got to be so funny. Sorry, how do you mean, sorry? Like.
So in terms of songwriting, but also performance, like, is there something that you've seen somebody else done and you've kind of stolen?
The agency, definitely. I was sort of like, the singer, hey, makes me want to be very funny. I don't think so, really. I don't know. That's a really difficult question. I wish you just asked us what it's like being so funny. Sorry.
What about fantasy, Paul?
Oh, is that what you? That's what you're driving at, Stephen K. Driver. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I've taken influence in that way about. I think I just do what I do, and things get demolished. Sorry, you've really thrown a curveball at us.
You didn't ask me, but I'm here.
Yeah.
Since seeing Paul play over the last few years, I feel like that's had some impact on my writing.
Yeah, I think the same about Richard as well, by the way.
It's very sweet.
And everyone else in here who I've played with.
But specifically the use of people's names, like cultural figures' names in my songs. I don't think that's something I used to do before. And then I wrote one with, after hearing some of your songs, I wrote one with Christopher Biggins in it.
Really?
I liked it a lot, so I kept doing it. Yeah.
No way, I didn't realise that was a crack like. That's a really good song.
It's a tribute. Thank
you. I like it a lot.
Nicky, what about you?
I love that because I guess, performance for me is just as important as the songs, really. As you can guess, I quite like performing. I'm quite a shy, retiring person. But and as far as influences go, I'd say, in fact, going back to the question about what kind of funny songwriters I liked growing up, for music, it was all kind of serious, but comedy-wise, Vic and Bob, massive influence. I mean, I remember the first time watching, like, Vic Reeves. Bob didn't get mentioned at first. That's rude, because he was always as funny. Vic Reeves' Big Night Out, and the thing, like, just watching it for the first time and just going, what the hell is happening? And the bit where he's got a fruit bowl and he just pours it over his head and catches some fruit in his mouth. And I was just like, the first one, I was like, what's going on? And the second time I watched it, I was like, yeah, absolutely. This is what I want life to be like for the rest of however long I live. So comedians like that who were just really silly. And then when they went on to do Shooting Stars, do you remember, Ali? George Dawes just made us cry. That song, and I guess it's a bit musical, there was a song where he was just wearing this like green tracksuit with a bit of a comb over, and there was a backing track, and he just occasionally went, peanuts. And I watch it now, it makes me cry. It's just like, just being silly, laughing at yourself, putting yourself like in a situation where you look a bit ridiculous, and mistakes don't matter because they're part of it, and nobody knows what's meant to happen and what was a mistake and what wasn't. Like, that's a really important thing. And I'm so happy you played a song about clowning, because in a couple of weekends' time I'm going down to East Grinstead to do a clown and dance course, and I'm so excited because I kind of feel like the clowning ethos is something. Clowning ethos, I tried to use a clever word and I messed it up. Is something that I'm already kind of on that path, but I don't know what the technical side of it is. I think I'm hopefully doing it just by accident, but I'd like to learn more about it, so I'm very excited. And you played that song, so hopefully I won't drop out. It's only a weekend. Hopefully the trains will turn up.
If you do, I've got a song for you.
That'll be a good consolation. But so silly and particularly silly, funny women who are like, because not to go off on a feminist rant, although it's fine to do that. You know, a lot of being a woman is you're not supposed to be silly and like make yourself look horrible, and you know that's something I've had to kind of fight against inside myself really for the whole time. And so when I see funny women who are just doing ridiculous things and using props and costumes and not caring about what they look like, that influences me a lot as well. I think it's amazing. Really. So all of that stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of comedy kind of turns on being willing to be vulnerable and a kind of exposure, and music can do that too. I think especially if you're not a kind of conventional trained musician. So I think in some ways bringing them together, that to me there's something very human about it, and I think that's one reason I find funny music so interesting. Any other questions from the room?
Lovely question. Well done, that man.
Aidan, yeah.
Hello. So I've done like music and I've also done comedy very separately. And I think they're both mediums that have a lot of interweaving parts, but also very divergent parts. And within music, from my perspective, it's very much about the self and writing for the self and then hoping that an audience enjoys that. Whereas comedy, very much the authentication you get is other people laughing. So fundamentally what I'd like to know from both of your mediums of art is, do you write for yourself or for the audience? For everyone, really, of course. You're also involved.
But if you had to say like first person to, I've got this. This is where I really come into my own. This question. Nah, I think in a way, I kind of like. You know, you would like to. The thing is, I think I would probably, if I heard my stuff and it wasn't me, I would probably be like, yeah, he's nearly there, kind of thing. But but I think mostly it would probably be like to please myself. But like, I would definitely have that sort of like those sort of aspirations to hit like. I mean, I think like the references I make and the sort of jokes I make and the things I point to are things that I would generally want to sort of like to resonate with other people. I think I always like with the stuff I listen to, the sort of like humorous music I would listen to. I always kind of loved how like picturing sort of the band or the people involved sort of sharing these jokes with themselves, or like it's sort of a thing that as a group of friends they came to find funny, and then that would go in the song, or like, you know, they're sitting in a like pub on a Sunday after practice and picking a newspaper article up and like seeing it and just be like, yeah, this is a good song, like this is a good song idea, let's do that. I sort of always enjoyed that kind of feeling, whether it's true or not, whether it's just in my crackpot theory on music. I think it's kind of, humor is always like a sort of shared thing and a sort of like community-ish sort of thing between people, whether it's just a small group of people or like a large group of people. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought again. Hopefully I covered the main points. Would you like to steer us back on track, or
I think that was great. Anything to add, Nicky?
I think as well.
So it was, do we write for ourselves or other? Is that kind of crux of it, or have I simplified that a bit too much? Yeah. I mean, I love nothing more than just sitting, writing down crisp flavours and things to rhyme with them. That is definitely my bag. It's not like, oh my God, this is what a pain. I have to do this to make people laugh. So playing with words is like my favourite thing. But also like interacting with people as well. So I guess, I'm writing stuff that I find funny, which not people don't always find funny, or sometimes it's just too weird for other people to find funny, but that's fine. But then it's like when I think about how am I going to perform this song and what audience interaction am I going to use, which is quite like when I wrote the Gary Vinegar song, like, so that was 2015 I think, and it didn't have, actually it did have interaction. I collected crisp packets, which was difficult because I don't like crisps very much, or I certainly didn't then, and then I just kind of pinned them to a skirt I had. So the first time I performed it, I did have some crisp packets safety pinned to myself, but obviously it's escalated since then. And even the headgear with the potatoes, that was brand new, so it keeps the audience participation keeps building up. So I think I always start with, I don't really know if this answers the question, but I always start writing about stuff that I find funny or interesting, like the song about the words for animal noises in other languages. That arose from like a little talk that I'd written for some kind of language assistants that we were running activities for. And I thought, this is so interesting, that I just did loads of research on it and got a bit obsessed on it and wrote a song about it. And now I've given like lectures on it and stuff. I write for myself, but then I get excited thinking about how am I going to perform this and how am I going to delegate stuff to the audience so that they're part of my crazy world. So both.
Well, thank you to all of you for being part of Nicky and Paul's crazy worlds tonight. I mean, I think it's true. You absolutely have to follow what you find interesting, or you'd be bored. And that's what I mean about kind of this idea of kind of broad comedy for everyone is just for no one, right? Whereas both of you, I think, are such singular voices because what you're writing comes from what you are interested in. So thank you for sharing your work with us today. I'm sorry that we've run out of time for audience questions, as we are now well over in the true spirit of comic timing. So I just need to say some thank yous before letting you all go to the evening. Go into the night. So thanks obviously to Nicky and Paul for playing their songs and for being willing to come up here and be grilled by me. Thanks to Kester from the Baba Yaga's Loft so much for the sound and for making this whole thing possible. Thanks to Kyle for filming. This will be on YouTube in some form in the coming months, and this is the first in a series of 4, so keep your eye out for them. Thanks to Andy Ludbrook, who was here earlier getting all the sound and the mics and everything set up, and is here again. Hello. Hey. Wonderful. And thank you to North Tyneside Council for giving us some money to do this, and for doing the next 3. When we talk about the comedy of authority figures, of course, we don't mean you. Next time, we'll be here in November. I think it will be November the 16th. And the subject, the theme of that session will be folk traditions. Keep an eye out for who we'll have on the bill. If you want to know more about that, I'll give you my Instagram details and I'll tell you where you can find the artists as well. So the venue is on Instagram at Baba Yagas NS. Nicky, I believe you are Nicky's _musical _ menagerie.
I'm not very active on Instagram. I don't understand it, but I'm on Facebook. Nicky, if you search for Nicky Bray's Musical Menagerie, like such an easy name to search for, I've got a music page on Facebook, and I am about to start making music videos. And so that will happen as well. Again, I made some very amateur ones during lockdown. But sorry, I'm not answering the question. But it was simple this time. But
there wasn't even a question. Paul, where can people find you?
Here, sitting in the seat. The young property developers. It's probably, if you search that and you get a picture of 2, like, topless young men standing next to a building, it's not that one, it's the other one.
When I've been promoting this, occasionally I'll try and find the link. I'll be searching Eventbrite, young property developers. It really thinks that I want to get into the market now.
Well, hopefully we're going to have a Tower of Song. Oh, go on, Paul.
Sorry, I was just going to say I'll be at the Tower of Song the next time I have one. When is that, by the way?
So, thank you for that. Beautifully led on. Well, I haven't booked it yet, but I'm hoping that it's going to be over the weekend of the 11th and 12th of October. So when we do it in Newcastle, it's like an afternoon event on a Saturday or Sunday. And I know Newcastle women are playing, our football team are playing on the Sunday, so hopefully it'll be on the Saturday. So hopefully Saturday the 11th of October. It's in the afternoon, and we have it at the Gosforth Hotel in the upstairs room, which is named after Sting. So there you go. Not the bee. And I did get stung by a bee a couple of days ago, so there you go. That's not very funny, but it's factual. So yeah.
Right.
People keep telling me they've been stung by bees and wasps lately. I'm like, what? Like,
Really, you have?
yeah,
as well?
no, I haven't. I've just heard
Oh.
people say it. They've
Oh
probably
my
been.
God. I think it was a bee because it left the singing, and that can't be a wasp, can it?
No,
Actually,
no.
can I just relate this to comedy? So there's a very funny songwriter who my old band used to tour with, not pour with. Well, we probably did pour because we had drinks on the tour. Called Keith Burton. Well, the long name is Keith Burton and his beef curtains. So there you go. And he had a song which was about getting stung and bitten by things. And I thought of it when I got stung. I thought of it, and the first line was, "I've never been stung by a bee, not me. I've never been stung by a bee. I've never been bit by a pike. Have I eckers like? I've never been bit by a pike," because he's from Yorkshire. So that's relating to a songwriting thing, isn't it? So the end.
The end. If
Would
you
you
want
rather-
to find me or future details about this event on Instagram, I'm at Groundbird Sings, or The Last Time I Saw Richard, all one word. Thank you so much for coming. Hopefully see you in November. Thank you.
I love the way that descended into chaos. Absolutely. Good work.